Hello, Namaste. I welcome you all to the 98th session of Gurubodha. We have with us Dr. Guraja sir today. On behalf of us, all of our students, I cordially welcome Dr. Guraja sir to this session. Good evening and namaste sir. I cordially welcome Dr. Raghuram sir also to this session. This session is brought to you by easyayurveda.com. I dedicate this and all of the works at Holy Feet of Dr. H. Chandrasekhar Udupa. This class is made live for weekly class subscribers. If you are not done already, please go to easyayurveda.com/video-classes. So coming to the topic of today, there is this medical doctor called as Liverdoc who keeps on spreading lies towards Ayurveda and then all the other allied natural sciences which involve natural measures for the treatment. He thinks that only way to treat any disease is through allopathy only, like how the Western world is Western world is there in many countries. In most of the Western countries, medical means the allopathic stream only, and all the natural sciences are not regarded as medical sciences. At the best, they are regarded as healthcare or wellness sciences only. And so there was a debate with an Ayurvedic doctor with him, in which, as per the claims, the Ayurvedic doctor was not given much chance to speak or put forth his opinion. And there was a strong opinion by one of the students saying that it was so unfortunate that Vaidya Omkarji was so unarmed for the discussion. There are numerous studies of NCBI talking about efficacies of various Ayurveda formulations. Many studies on ashwagandha by numerous universities with the mechanism of action and modern way of testing has already been established. More so, if Indians are brainwashed with Ayurveda, why is it that 40% of American population seeking alternative treatment methods? It's also true that in one of the reports that I read many years before, more than one third of US population depends on alternative treatment methods for their healthcare needs. So why do so many people cross borders and seek treatment if they don't see any benefits? With Easy Ayurveda also, we have seen many foreigners, patients and students coming for treatment and training and so on and so forth. A pretty arrogant and ignorant liver doctor, a disheartening conversation at all. So this was there, and Guraja sir also chimed in with the explanation of many things that were discussed there. Guraja sir, before we get into the nitty-gritties of what can be the outcomes or what can be the lessons that we Ayurveda doctors can learn, so that we better improvise our skills, etc. Your comments on this whole situation, please.
See, it is something like Nigrahi Sambhasha, or Vitandavada, we can call it as. So, if you are really doing a Tadvidya Sambhasha, where two or many learned people will join together and have a discussion on a particular related topic, and that is going to yield a lot of benefit to the audience and the listeners. But yesterday that program was totally something was he has a prejudiced mindset, and he's all, of course we know about him. His way of argument is also something like that, which unnecessarily thinks. For example, if questions related to Ayurveda in such a way that he asks for a mode of drug action. There are plenty of drug action has been explained, but if you start explaining those drug actions in the terminologies of Ayurveda, he is not in a position to understand it. And he expects that we should explain our drug action in his science methods and terminologies, which is ridiculous. Simply asking something like, a floor which is usually measured in kgs, you're asking him to get measured in liters, which is not so. It is not right. Second thing, and somewhere I find out that he selects his opponents very cleverly. He don't want to go for an argument with a strong opponent. So he tried to pick some weaker opponent, and he can suppress this by his way of narration and some strong words he also usually says. And because of that, he punches in such a way. But technically speaking, he is arrogant as well as ignorant about Ayurveda. He doesn't know about anything about Ayurveda. Basically, he doesn't have any ability or understanding or a reading capability or understanding ability of Sanskrit, as far as my knowledge goes. Second thing, he is trying to read Ayurvedic text, so through some translations, and depending upon his knowledge, what he could understand from that, I don't know from where he is getting that information, and he selectively picks only those things which he can quote it against Ayurveda or Ayush. So only such things he takes it and goes on bombarding, and it is of no use. If I ask him whether how your drug is going to act and remove the ama. He is able to explain how your paracetamol is going to cure the, does the amapachana in any way it is possible for him. So he is trying to ask such questions which is irrelevant for any understanding. The very simple reason is for a given set of condition, you diagnosed it according to your system of medicine. I diagnosed it according to my system of medicine. You try to treat with your system of medicine. I try to treat with my system of medicine. Then accordingly, the things will be. If the outcome of the treatment is good, which can be measured by a third party independently without by any bias or influence, then if the things are happening, you should have a broad set of mind to understand it and accept it. Ayurveda is such a science wherein very clearly we say that Ano Bhadra Kritavo Yantu Vishwataha. Let all the good things come from all the direction. But here, that fellow is totally, covered his eyes and his ears and everything. He never used to go to understand the levels of Ayurveda, what has been explained. And very unfortunately, he feels that everybody is being lured and they are brainwashed by everything. Then we are very superior. If we are able to do that, then we are superior. Why he has any trouble? If really he wants to sell his product or his service or his medicines, he should tell the superiority of his products and his medicines and services. When he is unable to establish that fact, he is trying to reduce the image or distort the image of the other person who is in the race. Typically, his way of argument was like that. But with this, what we can understand is, whenever we try to go for such type of arguments, first of all, we need to have a very strong backup of certain data. We should be in the hand, tips of the fingers. Readily, you should throw it in his face, and then we should talk about this. And if he sees his science is 100% accurate, then how come the so-called the drugs which are trialed, given all the studies up to phase 4 trial they have done, and at the time of their launch into the market, they say it's a game changer, breakthrough molecule, so on so. And ultimately, when after 10 years of usage, suddenly they say that no, the drug has the side effect, that's why we are withdrawing the drug. If you are withdrawing the drug after 10 years of usage, then whether your studies, which is done 10 years earlier, claiming that this drug to be superior, is totally flawed. It is a false, it is a fake narrative. Then you are fooling the people. And who is responsible for the damages caused to those millions of people they used in these 10 years, this particular drug? It may be thalidomide, it may be paracetamol, it may be nimesulide, it may be azithromycin, whatever the drug you just even ranitidine in any drug which is plentifully used and later they will withdraw it by quoting some or the other reason. And we need to accept that it is scientific. It is stated by our acharyas and withdrawn or banned by our drug authorities, saying that it has a very bad side effects. Not a single drug, not a single yoga. So we need to counter with the statistically evident part of it. And moreover, for all these things, Pratyaksha Pramana is very, very important. In front of you, when there is a change in the disease, a person comes with a particular symptoms and laboratory investigation values, then we treat with our drugs. Whatever may be the diagnosis, it's our understanding. If you want to understand any science, we need to understand the basic principles of that science. You can't expect that the other science will explain me in my science terminologies. So these are the things we need to understand. And when you put forth the evidences, automatically the world will accept this. And already they are accepting that is the basic problem for his burning sensation. He is getting irritated because of that. And not to worry for such type of people. And if that type of people are, if they are present, that it itself is a stimulative factor for us to thrive more, work more, understand our science still better, and give more and more evidences to prove that the science is still is, even though it's a very age-old science, it is proving even today. That means that is based on the universal factors and universal theories which were present, which were true at that time, and it is also true even today. So with these things, very clearly we can establish Ayurveda is a scientific thing and it is a science. If somebody by cock and bull story, if they say that it is not scientific and it is pseudoscience, it is up to them. They can call anything and the people will be judging. People will know that what is right, what is wrong. If the people say that it is pseudoscience, they would not have taken the treatment from the Ayurveda doctors. Day by day, Ayurveda doctors are increasing. Day by day, Ayurveda colleges are increasing. Drug industry related to Ayurveda is expanding. People are accepting. All over the world, the changes are taking place. That's the reason that it is totally a drug mafia of allopathic drugs, that they are losing the clientele. That's the reason. they'll be going on doing all this nonsense.
Thank you for your opinions there, sir. And before I get in Dr. Raghuram's opinion on this whole fiasco, I would like to quote Rajiv Vasudevan. He's a founder of Ayurveda. He quoted Nature.com article. It's one of the very famous scientific website. In that it says every day millions of people are taking medications. That means allopathic medications that will not help them. This is directly from Nature.com article. The top 10 highest grossing drugs in the United States help between 1 in 25 and 1 in 4 of the people who take them. So this, they term it as imprecision medicine. For some drugs such as statins, routinely used to lower cholesterol, as few as 1 in 50 may benefit. There are even drugs that are harmful to certain ethnic groups because of the bias towards white Western participants in classical clinical trials. So this being the case, it's not, this quote is not to say, show our disrespect towards allopathic treatments, as we all agree that being Ayurvedic people and who believe that in the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam theory, the whole world is our family. We do not, our purpose here as Ayurveda practitioners or Ayurveda community members is not to throw any disrespect towards other sciences or other people. But Raghuram sir, all sciences have its own advantages and disadvantages. So in the world of uncertainties, when our allopathy, which is the mainstream medicine in in this modern world, allopathic being the mainstream medicine, not providing many solutions to many difficult situations and difficult diseases, probably we all should be open to each other sciences rather than mudslinging and they being very talking negatively towards Ayurveda.
Absolutely, yes, sir. So Gurubodha sir, opinion on this, whatever has happened, the interaction between the Liverdoc and also with the Omkar, and whatever you said, we have advantages and disadvantages in each science, and we should not be mudslinging each other, and also we as Ayurveda doctors have always tried to do that. When we start from the basics, Ayurveda students are introduced to the modern medicine also. There is a parallel study. More than Ayurveda, our Ayurveda students study modern concepts. That is very important. So a liver doc or some other doctor, for example, can tell, what do you know about modern medicine? So we know plenty of things about modern medicine or any other medicine, but what do you know about Ayurveda? So Ayurveda has not been introduced into your syllabus as much as modern medicine has been introduced into our syllabus. So we go parallelly. So it's not like we are trying to compare two sciences. I was against it. I am against it. Like, we should not go coining each and every term and do parallel comparisons and conclusions on the same table. So because your way of understanding a disease, this is what Dr. Omkar was also trying to point out there. Some points at the initial phase of the discussion, I watched the video A to Z, word to word. At the initial part of the discussion, he was trying to put this theory forth. Like, we have different perspectives. The way we look at the disease and you look at the disease are totally different. So actually, even I felt as the discussion proceeded to around 15 to 20 minutes, not even 15 minutes, I think around 12-15 minutes, the modern doctor started telling that we are running short of time and you are not addressing the key issues. Coming to the issue, we should not waste time. See, at 10 minutes itself, the person got restless. He got aggressive. Right from that particular point, Dr. Hebar, so he went on an aggressive note. Like, there was calming of the voice, like domination of the voice. He was shouting like anything on the other side, not allowing Vaidya Omkar. One thing I would accept what Gurubodha sir said. We have to go with preparation. We have to go with all the proofs and everything. If at all we are trying to go for such arguments and also for such discussions with such people, because they have a fixed mindset. There is insecurity, jealousy, so there is rivalry. Obvious, it is quite obvious. As I've been keep telling that, जब लोग तुम्हारे खिलाफ बोलने लगो, समझो तरक्की कर गए. So when people start commenting on you, so when they start negative commenting on you, think that you have made a good progress, and those people are jealous and doing all sorts of stupid things because they're insecure or whatever. So what I felt is there was it was a state of imbalance, totally chaos there, a state of imbalance where only one person was trying to dominate and the other person was not given an opportunity to speak. On the other side, as Guruji sir said, the preparation when we go to such days should be very, very precise with a lot of information and lot of things. First of all, you decide whether you want to go to that particular platform and argue with those people. So I felt uneven. The platform was uneven, absolutely uneven. So because the way you look at the disease, your perspective and my perspective are different. Your understanding and my understanding are different. And that person was only totally fixed towards mode of action. He came to Arogyavardhini, it became an Arogyavardhini discussion. Try to give me the mode of action of Arogyavardhini. That's it. Entire thing was about Arogyavardhini. Now, come on. As Guruji sir said, how and why? First of all, let's keep away how later. Why should I even prove the mode of action of Arogyavardhini? He also mentioned Amruta as a stupid thing, Ashwagandha, all those things, Himalaya, stupid company, and Ayurveda, baseless, and so many words I don't want to tell here. I have noted what he said. So these shows that when we go for the discussion and sit on the chair opposite those person, it might be an online conversation also, the mindset is to attack. The mindset is to nullify the science. There is no reception at all. There are no points of reception at his end where he can receive and accept at least something about Ayurveda. Ayurveda basics, zero. Guruji sir rightly pointed out, zero. That person doesn't know ABC about anything. He has heard about Vata, Pitta, Kapha and all those things. He has a set of words, Ayurveda words like 10 to 15. Using those, he writes the comments and keeps on posting. I don't think he has a practice, or I don't think he has anything genuine to do. Even in the Twitter, after that particular discussion or argument, whatever it is there, he has written that the Ayurveda doctor fled away from here, the Vaidya fled away, and nobody will dare. These are the words he has used. Nobody will dare in future to challenge me or come to the discussion. Okay. First of all, going to the discussion, Vitandavada, as Guruji sir rightly mentioned, when you are ready to argue only in one direction and not even patient enough to listen to what other person is telling, how do you even understand the perspective? Two terms he was using repeatedly: mode of action and scientific evidence. Mode of action, scientific evidence. Okay, boss, we will give scientific evidence. Are you able to understand? First of all, for that you need to study Ayurveda for 5.5 years and then do a post-graduation or possibly a PhD, thorough understanding of Ayurveda, and then come to our dais. I will explain, then you will understand. At least spend 5.5 years with us. BMS course is not made just like that. And one more thing, if Ayurveda was illogical and baseless and nothing was there in Ayurveda, so it is a pseudoscience. Why would there be such a support, enormous support? I think Guruji sir also touched upon this point. Colleges coming up, government supporting. Ayurveda should have been banned in India, first of all, long back. Why? Aren't our people intelligent enough to understand that it is a pseudoscience and block that system? Because if India would think like that, Ayurveda is a disgrace, it is a pseudoscience, let us block, because many modern countries are telling, modern opinions are telling that Ayurveda is a pseudoscience, let us accept and block and close this Ayurveda, and so that our country will not be defamed. Why India did not do that long back? Okay, we will come to the word Bharat. Why Bharat did not do that long back? So because we lived with the system, we grew with that Ayurveda system, and Ayurveda is a household today. Every house, every kitchen has Ayurveda. So these people are definitely not going to believe that. And again, the point of limitations and limitations of every science, I think that also Dr. Omkar Vaidya rightly mentioned. So we have limitations. Again, there was an attack on that particular word, limitation, because the mindset was already to attack and minimize that person, to make that person feel very low. Obviously, when there is an attacking surface, you go into an alien territory. Definitely the opposition force will be more powerful than you. Number one, your preparation. Number two, there is no support backup with you. You don't have a team there. Okay, so it's a difficult scenario and an embarrassment for anybody to be in such a situation. Like why the Omkar was, he tried going into that adventurous journey, knowing that what the result would be. At the end of the video, the Liverdoc was telling, sorry, I'm mentioning, because we are speaking about the Liverdoc, I am mentioning that name directly. So X, let's take it, was directly mentioning, I knew the result. This is the exact word he said. I knew the result of this discussion. I knew, so those who have watched the video entirely will agree with me. I knew the result of, so you will come to watch a match after knowing that what the result would be. It was fixed. We call match fixing. So it was clearly fixed. The mind was very narrow. And that person, I think, as I already said, doesn't have any work at all. He doesn't have, probably whether he practices or not. Whether he is a sponsored person or he has sponsored himself or dedicated himself to defame Ayurveda rather than taking his science or whatever he believes in a proper direction. Do so many things. There are so many lacunae in your system. Address them. Do that. Why you are venturing into commenting and abusing a system which you don't know at all? Which you don't know at all. If your mother is great for you, ma'am, my mother is great for me. You don't have any authority to trespass into my territory and comment on my mother. Ayurveda is my mother system, and I know that better than you. I may know modern medicine a little bit lesser than you. Maybe I don't know. Why even I should know? And very important point, Dr. Hebar, as you rightly said, before concluding and not taking too much time, I would tell results are very important. One thing is results. These people are scared because already so much of promotion in India, outside India for Ayurveda, it is already there. People have started recognizing. So this is not a plan B. For many people in the world, Ayurveda is plan A, including the stats, as you said, about US or the way they made that particular statement. So in US, so take the other countries also. We also have online consultations, so many coming from different countries. Many people are seeking Ayurveda. So because they know a clear shot that we don't have remedies for these problems. Now the biggest challenge will be to challenge these people. We will have a small sample of patients. Okay. Forget all those scientific evidence and all those things. You start your treatment. I will start my treatment on similar set of symptoms, and let us see who will give better results. Okay. So whatever the radiological or the biochemical examinations or whatever samples may show, whatever evidences, if we go on with the evidence, everything evidence, modern medicine have so much of evidence and how many lives you could save during COVID period. So people did not even know what to give. So even in mucormycosis, I don't want to mention our Ayurvedic doctors, young doctors saved lives, saved organs. Could you people do that? And this is not defaming the other science. So because there is slinging, so this is only trying to tell that, we may not be equal. We need not be equal, both sciences. I am great for my system, you are great for your system. Both our motives are the same. Let us try to save lives and do better health services rather than mudslinging, the right word used by Dr. Hebar. Let us confine to our systems and do the best. If you can't respect the other system, please don't try to defame because you don't know anything about that. Absolutely, you don't know anything about the other science. You don't know even the basics. You are telling, that person was telling Vata, Pitta, Kapha, that, this, Guruchi, and all those things. That is taking away the life. You are not speaking about the paracetamol and other things. Gurubodha sir even posted that in our group. So when we ask that, he goes in with a different theory. Okay, so why you cannot accept that with Ayurveda? The higher doses may not be useful. The works are on. Researchers are on. PG, PhD scholars are not going to do their post-graduation PhDs just for fun. Okay, so we are having the wisest mass, the biggest mass, the Acharyas, Guru Shishya Parampara still going on. We are learning, and the same basics will be there. Come after even next 100 years or 200 years. Vata, Pitta, Kapha will not change. Sorry. So these basics are not going to change. As long as Ayurveda, Shashwata, it will be eternal. As long as Ayurveda is there, we will keep working on these itself. And next 50 years ahead, I will be there or not, you doc will be there or not, whoever is not there, life is going to take a circle and come back to Ayurveda. So I am not making an arrogant statement here. So because Ayurveda has provided a comprehensive, natural way of approach towards the things. What is not there in Ayurveda text? Go through Charita, Sushruta, everywhere, all the treatises. There is a chronological explanation right from Nidana to Chikitsa to Upadrava to everything. How to manage complications. Siddhisthana, when we go to the chapters, how Vasti or the enema complications may occur, they have written, very scientific, how those complications should be handled. That has been written. Emergency treatment, Arha and Anarha, cleaning the patient. What else do you need? Okay, the drug interactions, Ganas have been mentioned. So wise. Selecting the medicines. So last point I would try to tell is, it is very easy to explain the mode of action of paracetamol or a paracetamol with nimucilide or aceclofenac. It is very difficult to explain the mode of action of an Ayurveda compound like a Chyawanprash or something which has so many herbs in that. The so many herbs in that, each not contra working with each other itself is scientific. Ayurveda was so much scientific that they have selected herbs, so many herbs, and prepared a formulation that they are not countering each other. We don't give a pantoprazole or something to counteract the effect of amoxicillin or nimucilide. No, everything is there in our combination. Everything is there in the combination. That combination itself is science for us. That is the greatest science. Try to see, we have a formulation of 50 drugs or 50 herbs. You mix 50 herbs like that and give me one compound which can act. With a single dose, the person may die. So this is scientific about Ayurveda. So much of, when it comes to mode of action, it is very, very, very difficult to, so only the Ayurveda people can explain mode of action, and Ayurveda people only can understand the mode of action. So if that is asked on these platforms by a person who doesn't know ABC of Ayurveda, absolutely sorry, not acceptable. Over to you, Heberson.
Yeah, there are, unwritten books written on like how many of the allopathic treatments which are purported to cure the disease won't cure. There's a book called as Death by Prescription. I have read this book. Dr. Reddy Strand has written that. In that it says the use of prescription medication is the third leading cause of death in the US, and adverse drug reaction is 5 times more likely to kill you than an road traffic accident or an AIDS. Don't become the FDA's guinea pig. The use of newly released drugs could be potentially life-threatening. Discover the deadly partnership found between US Congress and between the FDA and the pharmaceutical companies. So, and the same doctor has written another book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicines May Be Killing You. And Dr. Hyman, another Western doctor, medical doctor, Why Antidepressants Don't Work. Now that even the serotonin theory of depression has been disproved, and the whole of the SSRI antidepressants, which are based on the serum serotonin reuptake inhibitors, the whole series of antidepressants are based on that theory of serotonin, role of serotonin in the brain, and that itself is disproved. So the follow the antidepressants, there's a big question mark on how the efficacy is there and all. So no science is perfect, and every science works. But coming to the what can we learn question about it is that yes, it is true that Liverdoc and is biased, and so are many other allopathic people who who treat Ayurveda, who think Ayurveda as a threat to their field. But from the narration of Liverdoc, what are the things that we can pick up to improve ourselves in the field of Ayurveda education, practice, and research? So my question to Gurubodha sir is that there is a big need for Ayurvedic students who are getting educated in Ayurveda colleges, who spend 5.5 years to do graduation, and then 3 years on top of that to do post graduation, because their life is dependent on this science. They should be made aware of all these happenings in the colleges, and they should be given logical explanation so that they can defend themselves, or they are very confident when they go out into the practice.
There are two aspects in this. One is the policy making. What needs to be kept in the syllabus and how it should be taught. Of course, now NCACM is doing a lot of changes, and they are being changed even in the syllabus, the way it should be taught, and how even the question paper and everything. They have made it in a very lucrative manner and very upward and progressive manner. That's one thing. Second thing, the people who come to Ayurveda to seek Ayurvedic studies, they should have the mindset to understand and grab this science. First of all, we are having some lacuna in our basic education, that when we'll be doing 10+2, there not even a single understanding or any concepts related with Ayurveda has been told or made to just to at least to have a information about that basic information that is not there in any other things. So suddenly, a student from a science stream with studies of physics, chemistry, and biology comes to Ayurvedic field, being a science, and he comes here and once the things like Padarth Vijnana and these concepts and bombarding, and of course the Sanskrit and all part of it, definitely he will have a very real time to understand and think. And there will be a lot of peer pressure, as well as even the teachers many times will not do the justice. how to bring or instill the confidence in a student who has come to this field. That is a basic problem. If a student is able to understand, definitely they can go through in that. But it is a primary task of the teachers who teach in the basic first years of the course. That is a foundation part. It should be very, very attractive, conclusive, and very informative. Then automatically student will develop an interest into the subject to study. And we need to improve upon particularly our samhitas, because in olden days the samhitas were totally by hearted, and it is translated from transferred from one person to another person through the mouth of word, by remembering it, by hearting it, and later now we wanted to have it in the form of a book, and our books will be comparatively clearly simply a textual book. There will be no other graphs or no other pictures which can depict those things, because always picture speaks better than the words. We need to have new books which is coined and prepared and enlisted under the heading of syllabus. We need to have certain books which can depict the theories in the form of a picture, and something like that in the form of a pie chart or some statistical values, some understanding of those things in a attractive, eye-catchy information in the form of any narrations, or some identification of plants with the form of typical photos nearby. If you do all these things, definitely a student will have a better understanding and better capability of understanding Ayurveda. And the last part is in hospitals, the teaching hospitals should be able to expose these students or young brains that how we need to understand or diagnose a case in Ayurveda, and how we need to understand that doshic involvements, and based on what we need to go for Ayurvedic treatment modalities, what is the criteria for the drug selection, why I have selected this drug in this condition, and what is my anticipated result in this, and how I am going to achieve it, how many days it may take. Certain these are things which are not told in Shastra. Shastra, there maybe because of that time it was told in the form of a Guru Shishya Parampara. Any doubts were there, that will be directly asked to Guru, and Guru would have convinced them. But now we are in such a situation that even though it is in a Guru Shishya Parampara type of thing, we are explaining to them, but we need to explain them based on their basic education, how they have been taught the physics, chemistry, biology in that fashion, with certain words, pictures, models, or even charts, pie charts, statistical evidences, even all these things will be kept. And even all the modern gadgets of teaching methodology, that needs to be taken care by the teacher. Then only we can have a very good outcome and understanding of these things. And literally what they learned in the first phase and second phase of BAMS, Ayurvedic studies, it has to be put into action in the third year, while treating the conditions. When we could able to understand and we could able to treat those conditions with using medicines of our own, then the student will have definitely a confidence, and out of that confidence he comes out, and then with the experience, teaching background, he can straight away practice and do the things. But there are certain lacunas areas, and that needs to be rectified by the community which are policy holders, policy makers. They need to think about in these lines. They need to do the things.
Rightly said, Gururaj sir. And teachers may definitely be the game changers. Teachers have to be the game changers. Teachers in class, outside class, offline, and online. All the teachers will be the game changers. The first year BMS is very, very crucial, because there is a transformation and transition of the student from something they have known to something unknown territory. So students feel disconnected. So in the initial first year classes, I used to handle the initial classes to pump up some energy and courage into those students, try to know what they know about Ayurveda. So probably many students are still of the opinion, because they couldn't get something else, we are learning about Ayurveda. And now so many students and their parents have a very good awareness about Ayurveda, and they're directly coming to the Ayurveda. The percentage of unknown territory is being reduced, because people are aware about what exactly is Ayurveda. One more statement made by Liverdoc today is, if you want to make money, study Ayurveda, become Ayurvedic doctor, and put some advertisements, go sit there and make money. No. So this is unacceptable. So here money or a business part. He was telling that Ayurveda is only made for the business, nothing else. It's a pseudoscience, which is where people know that if I have a degree and go into the practice, I am definitely going to mint money. Was that also a point of insecurity? I'm not sure about that. So there is a lot of money flowing into the other medical streams also. So that is also a part of thing. So here we'll come back to the what exactly we were trying to see. The teachers are definitely the game changers, and the first year BMS will be very important. Students need to be very much focused. And now NCSM, as Gurubodha sir said, has also introduced the on-field activities. Many things like apart from the classroom, on-field activities like very regularly. Sharira Kriya was once or twice there used to be some labs. So now very regularly things are dosha and all those things are explained on the bedside. So how to identify dosha, prakriti, vikruti, everything. And the teachers have to make the notes of that and send it as teaching notes, keep ready for the inspections whenever they are asked. So many field works are introduced in each and every subject. We used to think there is these subjects, in these subjects of Ayurveda, field works might not work. So NCSM is doing a good job in introducing field works there. Number two, many colleges are having this 8. So I have raised my voice even in colleges I worked, like 8 hours of teaching. 8 hours means 8 sessions, like maybe some 40 minutes to 45 minutes, or some colleges have 6 to 7 sessions of 1 hour. That is bombarding continuously. The teacher is waiting, so there is a bell, and the next teacher is waiting. So the teacher goes into the classroom. There is no transition at all. Anatomy is finished, Padartha Vijnana will come. Padartha Vijnana is finished, Ashtanga will come. Ashtanga is finished, again another anatomy teacher will come and teach anatomy, then physiology, then Ashtanga Sangra, all these things, then Sanskrit. Something happening, and continuously one after the other are coming. And see, whenever there is a deficiency of the clinical classes, the colleges are replacing it by theory classes. So this also should be addressed, and more of the practical exposure should be given. Even after BAMS and coming to the internship, students are just standing with folded hands behind the physician, not even questioning and not even try to analyze. They're in the phones also. Some people, they stand behind the doctor who is examining the patient because they want to send quick messages. If they're in front, they will be seen. So this type of seriousness, why there is no seriousness on the part of the student in the clinicals? Why the student is not listening to the Ayurveda doctor or looking at the procedure being done? Because they have not learned properly in the theory. So where is the fault? Theory classes. So if theory classes are made strong and interesting and interactive, students nowadays come with 2 motives: very lazy moods. They want a certificate. That's it. They know they will get a certificate and something they can do with that certificate, a doctor's degree and a certificate. That's it. And where is the learning experience? And then when somebody challenges, it will be a very difficult scenario because we are not strong. We don't have a strong strong hold on our system itself, on our basics itself. So that is the thing. So I'm generalizing this statement, so not targeting any particular person or the system. So this should be any system in which the foundation should be very strong, not only strong, very, very interesting, interactive, and lot of demos should be given to the students. The students, we need to wake them up from the sleepiness, from the drowsiness. So 4th hour in the morning and 3rd hour or the 4th hour, 3rd and 4th hour in the afternoon, or the 1st hour in the afternoon itself, post-lunch session, many students will be feeling drowsy. What is the value of having a class immediately after the lunch? So the education system and the policymakers of the institutions, teaching institutions, not only government, should also work out. Should we give? So there may be some small changes, small alterations which can be done immediately post lunch. Have a field job. So don't strain the student. Come into the class, sit and start learning straight away. A lot of slokas are thrown at the students, notes is given, and many people are feeling drowsy after in the post lunch session. Take them to the field as a Dravyaguna lab, or take them to the field, into the garden, show them some trees and plants, get them fresh air, or take them into the something lab or some clinical, show them something or a practical demonstration or something, so that they don't get tired. But at the end of the day, they have assignments. Tomorrow morning, they have a fear that when we go to the class, all 7 teachers or 8 teachers coming next day are going to ask questions about the previous day. All night they sit and read. So this is a horrible schedule. The scheduling should be changed. So there is only packaging, like first year, these many subjects should be covered in a hurry. Second year, these many subjects should be covered in a hurry. What happened during COVID period is there was a hurry in covering the syllabus. Online classes were conducted and nobody knew how many students are present, because if everybody comes on camera, there is a problem of network. So off cam, attendance is taken at the end, attendance is taken. So many students, only for namesake, they were present in the class. So there are so many things which need to be addressed, that those batches will lose the experience of studying in the college. So then the minds got tuned to the online education, online platform, online teaching and all those things. Why to go to the classroom? This is so beautiful. Sit at the home, behind the camera, switch off your camera, do something, watch a movie or play some game and keep hearing. If you want to hear, you hear something, or your friend is there to make some ready-made notes and give it to you, or you have a senior's notes. These things should be addressed at the base level in the education system, and strong basics should be fed into the mind of the students, and regular interrogation, regular viva voces, on bedside viva voces. Yuddha kale shastrabhyasam, it is said. When the war comes, I will start sharpening my weapon. No, keep your weapons strong and then be prepared for a war or a battle. So you don't know from which side the attack is coming. So these are the fundamentals. The policymakers at the center, in the state governments, in the colleges, in the institutions, the vision of the parents also, 2 eyes on you. So they also should be monitoring their kids. The kids should have self-realization, self-interest, dedication, application, and total commitment to the studies, not only for the certificate things. If all these things are put into, this cannot be, Rome is not built in a day. Neither Bangalore was also not built in a day. It takes a lot of work there. If these basics are done, basics are attended to very slowly, probably the education system, which is a foundation for Ayurveda, will improve, and students budding out of the institutions will be ready to take on the battle and take the challenges and answer such questions.
Thank you, Raghuram sir. And this is told by one of the students. Some kids may be forced by parents to get into BMS when they fail to get seats in MBBS. This is so true, and have seen such an instance where parents only fantasize about having kids become doctors somehow by Ayurveda or allopathy somehow. Okay, and so that we all agree that there is general consensus that some elements of Ayurvedic education needs improvements, and I hope that NCISM is doing that. They have introduced a transitional curriculum, which is a very good thing, so that the student who comes to first year is not astonished with all the fancy terms, and he is acclimatized in a general scientific way. Next is what can be, such instances, such doubts are very common, even in the patient's mind also. When I was studying, Gurubodha sir was explaining of many patients coming back when their pains get healed, or when asthma gets healed, they would come back and ask like, does this Ayurvedic medicine contain any steroids? So such doubts, such naysayers are everywhere. So how an Ayurvedic doctor should prepare himself, Gurubodha sir? One way I can clearly see is that continuous knowledge upgradation is very much necessary for survival for Ayurvedic doctors in this age of information. Gurubodha sir, please.
So very well. Actually, you observe that in game of cricket, they say that we need to contain a batsman, bowl a full length, wicket to wicket, don't give a scope for any untoward things, so he will not be hit. So similarly, basic things of Ayurveda, whenever he is in the college, he has to learn it. The basics should be strong. So if the footwork is strong, playing methodology is strong, then definitely he can score. If you are a bowler, if you are putting a very right length to the wicket bowling, then automatically you can make maidens. And even if a batsman make a mistake, you can get the wicket. So that is the criteria even applies here. We need to understand our SWOT analysis. Where is our strengths? Where is our weakness? Where is the opportunity? And what are the threats? If you know about your SWOT analysis, definitely we can win over the situations. The thing is, we need to inculcate a habit in our Ayurvedic young generation when they come to Ayurveda, that this is the basic things you need to learn by forcefully or whatever it is. Sometimes not all the people may require some force. Some they are self-motivated, self-driven. Some they require something like that. We need to stimulate them. So all the methods that to be done and make them well versed in their basic strong theory. Then comes the part of application, practical part of it. show them the practical things, how it can be done. When we could able to show the practicality and show the evidences, how it was earlier before our treatment, how it has happened later now. And to understand this, we understand our theories and things in our own way. But when it comes to a scientific world asking for an evidence, let them evaluate our case before treating our patient in a condition. Let us utilize all the diagnostic tools available. It can be taken as a evaluated tools, and it is being done by some other laboratory which is independent third party. Then we start giving our drugs, then the changes will occur. Once again, do the repeat the test, then try to compare the laboratory analysis. It gives you a very good idea that our drugs are perfectly working and the results are seen. Then comes how it works. If somebody asks, you see the results, how it works? No, I want the theory. Then I will explain the theory in on my part, like how Arogya Vardhini works. Arogya Vardhini contains 50% is Kutubi, Picroisa, Kurva in it, and that Arogya Vardhini improves Agni, clears the way for Vata, reduces the Kapha, thereby the blockage is open. Vata is to move in a proper direction because Vata is having a good Vata which is responsible, and I'm increasing the Pitta and it will move in a direction. So our Arogya Vardhini works in this fashion and brings in peristalsis and improved peristalsis, thereby the nitrogenous waste and the gut content and the toxic materials in the system will be thrown out. In this way, my drug works. Then he has no idea to counter me. Otherwise, if you see, start telling that it goes into that way, this way, and you try to explain them in with their terminologies, then definitely he will go into just bombard like yesterday what happened. So we should, another important thing is we should know how to showcase ourselves very strongly, very affirmatively and confirmatively. We should say where we stand, and we also should know that where is a limitation. We should draw a line boundary. We should not cross those lines. We should play within that things. For example, in any emergency condition, I may not be able to do any justice to my patient in an emergency condition of that nature. Then don't take that such cases. There are beyond our limitations and our things. We should not move. Even in allopathy, all the doctors will be treating all the condition. No, gastroenterologist will not touch the patient of a fracture. He will send the patient to the orthopedician. General practitioner will say only look on to certain things. So there is a very clear-cut demarcation in their system. Let us also put our demarcation for the Ayurveda, where we are strong enough and we could do a justice to the population and where we can offer a treatment. A very clear way of understanding if we do all these things, and of course, before going to these type of Vitandavada type of things, we should be very much prepared, and with a lot of document and data should go into that. Then only we can play a better way. Otherwise, we need to succumb to his pressure. He has a lot of tactics.
Yeah, I mean, if it is Vitandavada and a known case of repeated offender, sometimes it's better to avoid. Otherwise, some people live and thrive in controversy. They may not prove a point, just make some arrogant remarks, which will be taken up by some other people, and there will be some comments, and their tweet becomes viral. That's what their business is. Right or wrong is not important. Just being in the limelight and repeating their wrong statements is an important one. So speaking of efficacy, this is one of the feedbacks that came in the chat. Zerman writes, I'm one of the proof that Ayurveda is working magically with hard work. And that is what I'm speaking passionately to anyone who needs support of any kind. I do believe I wouldn't be around today if I wouldn't find Ayurveda for myself. So those doctors gave up when I was dying every day. Just antidepressants was prescribed with words like, keep taking it, your life will improve. That's only they could offer. They couldn't even figure out what was wrong with my system. So like how we may be having some disadvantages with treating emergency cases, we have huge advantage in treating say, liver disorders, psychosomatic disorders, depression to phobia to anxiety to arthritis. The list goes on and on and on. So play to our strength. Probably in cricket also, wait for the right ball to hit a 6 or a 4. That if we are bowling, when there is confusion, bowl wicket to wicket. So basics and fundamentals are so very important. And Mr. Richard Ravi writes that in primary and secondary schools, kids should be introduced to Ayurveda. This Department of Ayush is coming up with a program. We discussed that in one of the previous sessions of Gurubodha itself. That's where kids can grow some genuine interest without being forced on them. And there is no better science than Ayurveda to learn about the body and composition, which is very true. Other science basics are taught in school, but not much of Ayurveda is taught. But the science about one's own self is never taught until we are ready to choose our career path. And this also comes to the concept of soul, concept of meditation, concepts of self-awareness and self-analysis, how the soul works. All these psychological aspects are never taught. What is yoga? What is pranayama? These should be taught. These are there in the Indian Hindu scriptures. These were taught previously. Any student who would complete, say, 10 years of study would have been taught 64 different vidyas, 64 different things. These are not neither taught by parents to their children, nor they are taught by the teachers to their students. So nowadays, everybody is becoming vulnerable due to that. And regarding research in Ayurveda, probably, sir, I mean, there is a question to both Guraja sir and Raghuram sir. Probably, of course, not all the concepts can be proven, but, decrease in cholesterol, maybe, and improvement in arthritis and skin diseases, improvements which are easily measurable in terms of like the area of a patch of skin disease before and after, which Dr. Guraja sir has taught to all of us with direct case presentations many times in the same platform. So with whatever the available tools, there's big scope of more and more research in Ayurvedic field also, sir. So in this way, at least we can convince some naysayers who are open-minded rather than being biased. Guraja sir, please.
The very typically question has been asked whether research. When I was studying my PG, one of my guru used to tell me, generally in the class, usually we used to call ourselves of postgraduate scholars. So he used to get irritated by that. He used to very straight away he used to scold. Whatever acharyas have said, you just read it properly and understand first. Then you can do your research. You are not capable of doing research. First, at least understand what acharyas have said first. So that was the mindset of our even many teachers earlier. Because it was right. We never try to understand what our acharyas have said. Once it is properly understood, then only we can go for it further. And he says that any naysayers say that Ayurveda doesn't have a scientific basis and all those things. I was just in recent days, I was going through once again for my understanding Charaka Samhita, Kushta Chikitsa Adhyaya. When I was trying to read out once again, then I could find one reference saying that after applying these things, the patient should be asked to stay in sun. So very clearly our acharyas were knowing that the sun rays has a typical reason for the cure. It is important in its drug action. But very clearly they said patient has to make the sit in the sun. Surya Snana should be done. But unfortunately, when we are not in a position to explain to them or the common public in the language what they understand, that is the basic thing. So once if you could able to explain them what is the research is secondary. First thing is what Ayurveda says, how to use it, where to implement it, and what is the benefit. First, once we start doing it, automatically the research will take place. And many times we also try to do a research in such a terminologies and such a methods, trying to understand whether Ayurveda can be fitted into the modern science. That type of studies may sometimes becomes counterproductive. They may not give you ideal results. First thing is that we need to understand what our acharyas have said. Try to use it as it is in the first. It will give you the expected result. Then automatically your mindset is so that you will be straight away into the research. What is research? You are searching once again somewhere. Some acharya has told something somewhere in the book. We can get. Otherwise, we need to have such a mindset and even the eye that understand each and every drug and its deepest part and where to be used. Once again, we rely upon the basics, fundamentals explained by our acharyas. So that's the reason. First, our basics, if it is stronger, automatically we can do the research. And doesn't mean that a peer-reviewed research article is the only way to confirm that a drug is acting. If it is true, then many a times peer-reviewed research articles have been retrieved. Then what is the use of it? Something which is agreed upon initially, people have used it, then once again it has been withdrawn means somewhere somebody in the chain is doing nonsense or is fake or he is playing with the life of a people. It is not the right thing. So that's why our Acharya has very clearly said for what purpose this Ayurveda has been explained for the benefit of the prani. He says prani means a human being. It's a whole mankind or human nature. It is for the purpose of the people. So there is no question. Even Aptopadesha, we used to use the term very clearly. Who is Apta? One who is Raja Tama Mukta. So one who is devoid of Raja and Tama, you will always be speaking about Dharma and Satya, and his always words will be truth. So such a person, if he is telling about these things, these drugs should be used in this fashion, in this condition, and it is 100% truth. We need to use them as it is. It is a foolproof data which is given to by our acharyas. And if you observe the samhitas, do we say anywhere in our acharya said in a samhita that this is if you do this one, this will going to happen in that way, or negative things we tried and this has happened? No, because they all done this charvita charvana, all these things fine tuning they have done, and whatever the ultimately as a gist, the best thing which come out of that, that is being given to us, saying that this is the truth. We need to follow that. We need to adhere to that first. What we are trying to do is, our Acharya says something said, we will try to evaluate that with the modern parameters and tools. That may not fit many times. We need to do a research, at least to establish the fact that our Acharyas, whatever they have said, which is holding even today, it is holding the ground. It is not being just outdated or it is not obsolete. So that is the thing we need to do it. Do a research means establish the facts, what is being told in our acharyas in the earlier samhitas, it holds good even today. That if it is done, that itself is a research. That needs to be done. Then if possible, then we can have a multidisciplinary approach. Then all people from other domains can also join. Then multi-centric trial for the benefit of the people, with those who are rational minded and thinking in a very good manner, and they can at least adjust with the other people, and they should listen to the other people's words or the sentences or informations. Then such people can together and can discuss and produce an action or something which is produced out of these type of conglomeration definitely will yield, and that is what required when multidisciplinary people with the mindset to explore the things. It is not to counter and say that it is not right, this is not correct, this is not. No, that is not the way. Our intention, those who are participating in the research, is to explore it for the purpose of mankind. But here, many times, all these researchers are funded, that is driven by some companies, some mafia insurances in yours. But where Ayurveda stands is very clearly, typically for the purpose of human body and human nature and the mankind. They never interested in keeping the information to themselves. They never said that it is my intellectual property right, I cannot give it to you. No, they are given freely to everybody. There was no such things. That was the dharma for them. Dharma means doing the righteous thing, following the righteous path. And this is what the research what they have done. And the lifetime research rewards and things have been given into us in a golden plate, and we are using them. Wherever there is a chance, let we are also involved in that. It's a multidisciplinary approach. If it is required, then we can do it. We can assess even the Ayurvedic things in the modern protocols or the modern terminologies. We can try to explain it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So before we conclude, one big takeaway of this is to be very, very strong in fundamentals. If even with my personal experience, if any of my teachings has brought some knowledge to any of the students who regularly attend our weekly classes, etc., that is only because I had teachers like Dr. Gurubodha sir. I had another wonderful Ayurveda physiology teacher, Dr. Ashwini Anil, who taught the fundamentals very, in a very solid way. It cemented the fundamental principles in the brain such a way that even if I want to forget, I will not forget. I remember Gurubodha sir was taking Ashtanga Sangraha. At that time, we were having Ashtanga Sangraha, and Dr. Ashwini Anil and Dr. Uma Gopal, madam, she was taking anatomy. The fundamentals are very, very important, and For any student, the first 1 year and first and second years are very important, not only for the Indian BMS students, also for the foreign students as well. So I hope that everybody dives deep. Such difficult situations where we lose an argument, or even though it is biased, it can be a little bit of heartbreaking for us. But each and every opportunity is in a lesson for the right learner. So there's no point in pinpointing someone personally. Someone's nature may be offensive. We cannot help with that. Only way we can help ourselves is by diving deep into the science of Ayurveda, teach them properly, use it properly, practice it properly, so that man can benefit. With that, let's wrap this session. I thank all the students and participants for their wonderful comments. On behalf of all of us, my words of gratitude to Guraj sir and Raghuram sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. See you in the next session. Namaste.